Hey y'all, my name is Susan Sparks and I'm the senior pastor here at Madison Avenue Baptist Church in New York City. We are a diverse community brought together by faith. We hope that you enjoy our service today.
When you can't walk, 'cause there's chains round your soul, the burden's too heavy and you've run out of road, and you're praying out loud as you stumble through the rain and snow. I'll walk out and find you, I'll carry you home. When you can't speak, 'cause the words are too strong, and every time that you try, it just comes out all wrong. When your heart's screaming out, but no one can hear your song, oh, I'll sing it for you, I'll carry you home, I'll carry you home, I'll carry you home. Rest your heart easy, I'll carry you home. So wander this world, fearless and free. Climb every mountain and sail every sea. But if you wander too far into the great unknown, you know I will find you, I'll carry you home, I'll carry you home, I'll carry you home. So rest your heart easy, I'll carry you home.
Good morning, everyone. Our sermon today is going to be from inside the beautiful Dover Church. I asked the pastor and he graciously gave us permission to offer the message here today. So the title of my sermon is Little House in the Pandemic. Now today we're talking about pioneers. I thought it appropriate given that we are in the 4th of July weekend. And when you hear the word pioneer, at least my mind goes to all types of different images. But of course, the specific one I go to is the traditional pioneer. You know, the covered wagon that's going across the plains. It's people out in the wilderness, folks uprooted from their known, familiar lives, surrounded by a vast, unknown territory. It's kind of like Little House on the Prairie. Do you remember that program? I used to watch it all the time when I was little. The program that's based on the writings of pioneer Laura Ingalls Wilder. In fact, her birthplace is about 2 hours south of here in Pepin, Minnesota. But I wanted us to spend time here in this church because I thought it was just so very beautiful. This church was actually founded by Norwegian pioneers that came in, as I said, in the 1880s. And it was named after a famous church in Oppland, Norway, in the Dover Mountains. And that church in Norway apparently dates back to the Middle Ages. It's a gorgeous sanctuary, so I just want to take a minute and show you around the inside so you can see the view from what I have up here in the pulpit. Here we are inside. Let me show you a close-up of the window. They have the American flag and the Norwegian flag and a little replica of the church in each window. So you look around, and these beautiful big windows with lots of light. And there's the balcony where the organ is. And then you come around, you see the rest of this beautiful little church. And then look at this beautiful painting in the back of Jesus. Isn't this church just beautiful? And it's so small and intimate and just welcoming and lovely. It reminds me of our community at Madison Avenue Baptist Church. So I'm going to be offering our sermon from right here in their beautiful pulpit. I will just tell you that it's about 90 degrees outside. There is not air conditioning in this gorgeous little church, of course. There's a ceiling fan going, but I may start to get a little, kind of hot and whatever bothered, but I'm going to be preaching a sermon up in here today, honey, and there's some powerful words coming your way. So hang on to your hats. Today we're going to be talking about pioneers. And our country was founded on pioneers. Pioneers of all types, not just the pioneers of the Midwestern plains. Maybe when you think of the word pioneer, you think of perhaps Rosa Parks, who made a way through the wilderness of racism on that seat on that bus. Or perhaps your pioneer is Harvey Milk, who pushed the known boundaries out and pushed the establishment into new rights for the LGBTQIA+ community. Maybe your pioneer is a man named Dalip Sound, who was the first Asian American to be elected to the United States Congress. Or perhaps your pioneer would be Puerto Rican-born Felicitas Mendez, who was instrumental in getting integration into the California school system. Or maybe it's the Norwegian settlers who came here in the 1800s, leaving their homes, their known way of life, and coming here, settling in these beautiful plains, establishing this church because they believed in something better. Pioneers of all types founded this country. They brought their blood, their sweat, their tears, their ideals, and their raw human failings. They made some colossal mistakes, and they made some monumental discoveries. And together with those achievements and those failings, they were the ones who went before us and prepared the way. Whether we realize it or not, today, brothers and sisters, we are the new pioneers. Our scripture today from Isaiah talks about pioneers, the forerunners, the ones who go ahead to prepare the way. The verses I'm referring to are these: a voice of one calling in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord. For every desert, a highway shall be made straight for our God. Every valley shall be lifted up, and every mountain made low. I want to share an insight from a biblical pioneer named Albert Barnes, who wrote about this passage in Isaiah back in 1851. Even 150 years ago, his explanation sheds new light on this passage. Barnes explained that this idea in these familiar words from Isaiah were taken from the practice of ancient kings who, on their great overland journeys, would send forerunners ahead of them to make a way. These forerunners would do things like build bridges, find fording places over streams, level hills, construct causeways over valleys, or make ways through a dense forest that might be in their way. The words of Isaiah were based on the scouts, the forerunners, the pioneers, the ones who were sent before the king to make a way. Now, the gospel writers later interpreted this, and theologians as well, interpreted these words to mean John the Baptist as the one who cried out in the wilderness, who went before the king to prepare the way for the king, Jesus. And now, here we are, the new pioneers, sent by the king to bring in the kingdom, sent by the king to make a way. Brothers and sisters, there's no doubt, today we are in the wilderness. We have been uprooted from our known, familiar lives. We are surrounded by a vast, unknown territory. A world permanently transformed by COVID-19. I guess in a way, you could say we're like a little house in the pandemic. But COVID is not our only new world. We are in the midst of a new world of racial reckoning. We are on the cusp of a new world of globalization, environmental deterioration, political altercations, and personal aggravation. Now, do you know how long it took me to find those 4 words to rhyme? I mean, just a little shout out for me on that. I mean, even the tax deadline has changed. I mean, who ever heard of preparing your taxes for July 15th? I mean, this is an upending of the world as we know it. A world that is changing at lightning speed, a world that we can't begin to predict or project. But like the pioneers before us, we must find a way through. We must make straight the highways of hate. We must lift up the valleys of despair. We must make low the mountains of privilege. Brothers and sisters, we must prepare the way of the Lord. One of the common threads I've found in reading about the pioneers is their sense of loss. What is the old saying? To discover new lands, you have to be willing to lose sight of the shore for a very long time. To find a new path means to give up the old. For example, think about our new COVID-19 world. As we negotiate how to live in this new world, we are having to let go of our expectations of ever returning to our old ways. Our entire known way of life has changed. It's like we're on a wagon train that has just left the last outpost, and we are in a place where all we can see is a horizon of vast emptiness. One of the lessons from our pioneers was that you must mourn what you've lost. The pioneers of this country all gave up something. They gave up their homes, some gave up their livelihood, some gave up their families for something better. Part of their journey, though, was mourning that loss. They knew the importance of acknowledging that loss. Let me put it another way. The wilderness of sadness can be a dangerous thing if not acknowledged. Our friend Laura Ingalls Wilder, the pioneer I mentioned earlier from Little House on the Prairie, she explained it this way in her writing. She said, sadness can be as dangerous as panthers and bears. The wilderness, the whole wilderness, needs our attention. The Bible offers us the same lessons with its own great pioneers. I mean, think about David and Moses and Job and Jonah and Jeremiah. All of them suffered great loss. All of them suffered great pain. But more importantly, they acknowledged that pain. They mourned that pain in their writings. Jesus, even Jesus, in the garden, mourned the loss of his ministry and his life when he said, "My soul is deeply grieved, even unto death." We too are facing great loss at this time, and yet none of us have had time to mourn it. I mean, we're still in crisis mode. We need to take a lesson from our forerunners, from our pioneers before us. We have to take time to mourn what we've lost, even if the loss is not over. It's in that mourning that we begin the process of letting go. And when we begin to let go, then we can begin to believe in something new. We can begin to believe in a better world. The pioneers of this country came here because they believed in something better. They believed in a new and better world, and they committed to creating it. In theory, emphasis on theory, that's the idea upon which this country is based. It's like the words from Emma Lazarus on the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free. Oh, how far we have strayed from those words. We aren't welcoming the tired, the poor, the huddled masses. We're walling them out. Or maybe worse, we're inviting them in, the brothers and sisters yearning to be free, and then indenturing them. That's the reality. Right now, and for hundreds of years, all the way back to the start of this country. But just because that's our history, just because that's our current reality, does not mean the dream is dead. Whether it's believing in a better post-pandemic world or believing in the possibility of a racially just world where everyone breathes free, we, you and I, we are the new pioneers. We have to hold on to the vision of something better and hold on with everything we got. The book of Joshua, chapter 1, verses 1 through 9, God says this. Hear these words because these are powerful. In the same way I was with Moses, I will be with you. I will not give up on you. I will not leave you. Strength, courage. You are going to lead these people to inherit the land that I promised to give their ancestors. Give it everything you have, heart and soul, and make sure that you carry it out. God's promised land, God's intended world is a just world. It's a place where all people live in harmony and love and freedom. So now let's listen to those words again from Joshua and listen to them this time, knowing God is speaking directly to us. In the same way I was with Moses, I will be with you. I will not give up on you. You are going to lead this people to inherit the land I promised to give their ancestors. Give it everything you have, heart and soul, and make sure you carry it out. Brothers and sisters, we've got to mourn what we've lost, but we also must believe in something better on the other side. There is a better world on the horizon. I mean, just because there is a better world on the horizon, though, doesn't mean we're going to get there. But it beckons. A world beckons where our children can grow up free from worry about disease, free from worry about racial violence, free from worry, where all of our children, and I say all of our children, can breathe free. Not yearn to breathe free, but breathe free. As I was writing the end of this sermon the other day, I was on our porch and I looked up and this gorgeous bald eagle was soaring overhead. Now, if any of you have ever seen a bald eagle in the wild, you know what I mean. And even if you don't see it in the wild, just look it up online. In full flight, that eagle is a sight to see. It is something that just it just makes awe and wonder kind of bubble up in your heart. Truly, to me, that visual brings forth in one's heart the ideals, the better world that some of our pioneers envisioned. A world of bravery and strength and freedom. When I saw that eagle, I couldn't help but think about our MABC kids, as they do so often, and especially when I'm writing my sermons. And specifically, I started thinking about Lathan and legacy. I started thinking about Ava and Moses. We are the pioneers for them. It's on us to let go of the old world and prepare the way for the new. We are the pioneers, tasked with finding a way through, to build bridges over the chasms of hatred, to ford into and across the streams of mistrust, to level the hills and valleys of institutional racism, to construct roads through the foreboding forests of a post-pandemic world. A world where every single child grows up brave and strong and free. That's the promise. That is the promise that's gleaming on the horizon right in front of us. But just because it beckons doesn't mean we'll get there. Between us and that promised land, there's some harsh territory that we have to cross. It will take blood and sweat and tears and raw human failings. It will take colossal mistakes and monumental discoveries. But we are strong and we are brave. And together, we can get to that new world where all of us are free. So we fortify our little house in the pandemic. We homestead on the plains of racial reckoning. We let go of the old and we give birth to a belief in something new. And slowly, but steadily, we make a way through. Out in those plains, on that vast plain of opportunity, if we pause for a second and listen, we will hear. Can you hear it now? If you listen, you can hear the words. A voice calling out in the wilderness, saying, "Prepare the way of the Lord. Make straight in the desert a highway for our God, for every valley shall be raised up, and every mountain and hill made low. The rough ground shall become level, and the rugged places a plain. The glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all the people will see it together. For the mouth of the Lord has spoken." And the people said, "Amen."
Happy 4th of July weekend, everybody. 30 years ago, 3 of my classmates and I got to sing this next song at our high school graduation. I can't believe it's been that long. So I want to give a big shout out to Faith Academy Philippines, class of 1990. And please join me now in singing hymn number 595, "Be Thou My Vision." Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart, not be all else to me, save that thou art. Thou my best thought by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light. Be thou my wisdom thy true word. I ever with thee, and thou with me, Lord. Thou my Redeemer, my love thou hast won. Thou in me dwelling, and I with thee one. Riches I heed not, nor vain empty praise. Thou mine inheritance now and always. Thou and thou only first in my heart. Great God of heaven, my treasure thou art. Great God of heaven, thy victory won. May I reach heaven's joys, O bright heaven's sun. Heart of my own heart, whatever befall, still be my vision, O ruler of all.
Thanks for joining us. Madison Avenue Baptist Church is located at 31st and Madison Avenue in New York City. Our website is www.mabcnyc.org.